Hi there. You're listening to the Oklahoma On Stage podcast. You can find the podcast on all your favorite platforms as well as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And the website is oklahomaonstage.org. We'd love to hear what you think about our podcast, so email us your comments or questions to oklahomaonstage@gmail.com. We hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, share it with someone. Okay, enough chit-chat. Grab a snack and a drink and settle in. The show starts now.
Oklahoma on stage, the stories come alive. With drama, dance, and music, the arts always thrive. From center stage to backstage lore, Oklahoma on stage, there's always something more.
Welcome back, everybody, to Oklahoma On Stage. I'm Tim. As always, I'm your host. Today, we are sitting in the offices of Kismet Arts Studio and Theater in North Oklahoma City. I am sitting with my guests today. They are a creative force in Oklahoma City, where they have over 200 students that they now train in acting, dance, voice, stage combat, and more. Kismet was founded in 2016. It began as a modest studio for private lessons. Their first semester featured just about 16 students performing an original musical. Today, they've expanded into a full-scale facility at the Fusion at Oakdale, offering 19 classes, summer camps, and productions for artistic ages 4 to adult. But Kismet isn't just about technique, it's about transformation. It's a place where students learn to collaborate, communicate, and celebrate who they are. Today we'll explore how these two ladies met, how they built Kismet from the ground up, how their backgrounds in education and professional theater shaped its mission, and how they're creating a space where passion meets possibility, one rehearsal at a time. Oklahoma On Stage family, please welcome with me at this time Angela Polk and Laura Himes to the podcast.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Glad you ladies could join us.
Yeah, that's you.
This is something we've been batting back and forth, trying to get organized for a while. I'm glad we could finally get this off the ground. So as normally, we start out with, the elephant in the room. How did the theater bug first bite you?
Mine was a little bit later in life, at least now as I look at our students. Like you said, we have students as young as 4 and 5 years old. I didn't actually start performing really until I was a sophomore in high school. So I was 15 or 16 years old. I went to a small private Christian school in Tulsa called Mingo Valley Christian School, which is still there. Still has a pretty robust drama department. But I auditioned for Anne of Green Gables, the musical. Didn't really know anything about the musical, but I loved the books, which was exciting, and ended up getting cast as Anne Shirley, which was such an amazing discovered dream come true all of a sudden. And really since then, it's just been eyes on that from being in the show, or then eventually learning that I wanted to be involved on the creative side. I really haven't stopped since then. So that's been almost 20 years.
Nice. Angela, what about you?
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm going to learn a lot about you. Mine actually started a lot earlier. I was 3 years old when I started dancing. And then around the age of 7, I started voice lessons. And I think probably around the age of 10, I started listening to Les Miserables, and the rest was history from there. My parents couldn't get music out of my mind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I did dance and voice up until I went to college, and then I, did a undergrad and master's in music theater, and did the whole scope of moving to New York, and found also that I like to be behind the table, and that really just sort of started the business mind of wanting to, work as a director and a business owner.
Very cool. So, Angela, you earned both a BM and an MM in music theater from Oklahoma City University.
Correct.
How did that training shape your artistic voice?
Oh, it's a great question. I actually, while there, was able to work for the university at the same time, which really helped train me in learning the behind the scenes while also being able to perform while at the school. And I always tell my students that it's really important to learn anything and everything you can in the theater department. So I wasn't just an assistant director. I was a stage manager. I was a recital manager. I really learned more than just being the performer. So I think that has trained me to be able to communicate in so many different ways when I'm working in theater and with different people, because you have to know and do everything. So I would say that's really, I don't know, that's what made me, I don't know how you say that, a well-rounded person.
There's such an administrative aspect to running a theater.
Yeah.
Like, I think when we sort of got into it, we were like, oh my gosh, shows. But then, like, really quickly, you realize there's so much paperwork and there's so much managing and contracts, and you have to communicate with people, whether you're partnering or employing them or whatever. And there's just so much of that like, if you haven't had sort of internships, even if they're unofficial, or experiences like that in college, or having someone walk you through it, then you just kind of have to figure it out on the fly. And so I think that really, like, your experience at OCU with all of that behind the table administrative stuff is really what has helped keep our business so organized, because that is not my background at all. So for me, all the logistical business administrative things has been either learning from Angela or figuring it out in the moment, because that is definitely not my background.
I have someone who really loves contracts. So who knew?
Yeah. Loves paperwork. Yes, spreadsheets.
Nice. So speaking of your background, you hold a BME in vocal music education from OU.
Yes.
And you actually taught public school choir for 5 years.
I did.
So what inspired you to shift from the classroom teaching to more of a studio-based idea?
I'm a little, like, not ashamed, but a huge element is my personality. I learned really quickly from being in the classroom that my personality was not cut out for such a large group of children all at once, all day. And I was really fortunate. I worked at Sequoia Middle School in Edmond, and at that time, the other co-choir teacher, had been there for like 25 years, and she had built this enormous choir program. So we had class sizes of anywhere from 30 to 70, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And so it was like this amazing energy, and we were doing such fun work in so many ways, but it was also like you had to be like at a 100 for 8 hours every single day.
Yeah.
And it was never quiet. There was never a break. It was always something. And so, as much as I loved my co-teacher, and it was just like, this is not, personality wise, this is not probably the best for me. I'm much better on a one-on-one or a small group setting.
Well, and even when we have, 40 to 50 students at a time, it's only for 2 to 3 hours at a time.
Right.
So it's not a whole 8-hour day.
It's not all day. Well, and then, at the time I was teaching choir, I still was doing theater in the afternoons and evenings. And so I was getting to school at 7:30 in the morning, teaching choir all day, doing voice lessons for 2 or 3 hours, and then going to a theater rehearsal afterwards, which I know a lot of people now do that in the area who are teaching during the day. I wasn't cut out for that lifestyle. So I've sort of always had the theater education bug, but when I was in high school, I had my eyes on OU. OU doesn't have a theater education degree. Like, well, I'll do vocal music. That's close. And then, just after college, I've sort of tried to tailor what I wanted to do. Not so much a little based on my degree, but also just kind of based on what I was interested in.
It's funny, I never had theater education on my mind as a human being. If you had asked me if I'd be teaching children about, 20 years ago, I would have told you no.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it's so similar to the life I had in New York, where you're cultivating clients and, having them have their next big show. But with students, you're really cultivating human beings and what is their next big step in life. And so now it's like this weird passion project for me.
Wow, she just went and got deep on us. So But no, I think you're right. I think a lot of people that leave high school and go into the theater arts, they don't normally have education on their mind. However, a lot of them realize very quickly they can't make a whole lot of money right out of the bat as an actor, and so the education tends to come into it. Me, I did. I left high school, went straight into a theater education degree. So, of course, yeah, that didn't last very long. It's your episode, not mine, right? So you both worked with a wide range of Oklahoma theater companies. You worked with Jewel Box, Lyric, Petite, Sooner Theater, and more. What did those experiences teach you about the kind of space that you wanted to create?
Community, collaboration. I mean, really, truly, the reason that we are in theater, I think, is for the community. I feel really strongly about the group of people we surround ourselves with. And, when I worked at Jewel Box, it was just a wonderful group of human beings, and we loved what we were doing, and we all became friends. And some of those are lifelong friends for me. And I'd say the same at Coty. When we worked at Coty, I mean, our friends still to this day are people from those organizations.
Yeah, I mean, I met my husband doing community theater at Coty several years ago. I was in a show, he was doing tech work, and we were just sort of became in the same group of friends. And yeah, I think it's the same, just, and sort of what we were talking about before we started recording, like it's in the name, and it's like, of course, but it's a good reminder that we do this for the community. It's obviously not for the paycheck, because I think we all understand. It really is the community, and in what other area of life, except for perhaps maybe church or working, would you get to interact with so many people from different walks of life, even of different ages? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we wanted to create our own such community. And it really has become, I mean, some of the most meaningful relationships I've ever had.
Yeah.
And then came Les Mis, where the two of you met.
Yeah.
What was that moment like, and how did it lead to the idea of building something together?
Okay, well, listen, we have to be honest about what happened at Les Mis first. The reason we met at Les Mis was because we both didn't want to be on the top rafter in the choir, and we lied and said we were afraid of heights.
So this was in 2014. Lyric was doing Les Mis, and they had like a community choir element of it, and there were like 100 people in the choir. It was a huge, huge group, and they had built this scaffolding structure that was all across the back, upstage wall of the Civic Center.
Very cool.
And it was like 4 or 5 stories high. I mean, it was
fair. I am afraid of heights.
It was crazy. Kind of over your eyes. And so they were kind of just doing a really casual, like, okay, who's okay to be on the top, and then it was like, okay, who absolutely draws the line, or so afraid of heights. And so we are afraid of, like, yeah, we're super afraid of heights. And really, if we're being honest now, 11 years later, it was more because we were like, we'll probably get more spotlight if we're on the stage level.
So, you're like, introvert.
I'm not proud of that. That is the truth. And so we were put on the same, you will, shelf of scaffolding, along with a few other women who are still lovely friends to this day. And we just kind of hit it off immediately. We were fast friends. We started hanging out outside of rehearsal after the show.
But honestly, a lot of our conversations were just about how much we were working in so many different locations as private voice teachers, that we were traveling from downtown Oklahoma City to Edmond, into random places where we went, we should find a spot. We should just do the dungeon a lot day. And we ended up having a friend who had a space and offered the rooms. And we really just sort of started the teaching private voice, and the rest is history from there. It all started in 2016.
It is crazy, though, because I do have a very visceral memory of us talking. It was like a weeknight after a theater class. We were standing in the parking lot together, like on either sides of our cars. And we had just been standing there for, 30 or 40 minutes, as you do, chatting at the end of a long day. And we just kind of looked at each other kind of off the conversation she was just saying, we were like, should we start a company? And I don't remember which one of us said it, but I just remember kind of us looking at each other and being like, yeah, this just makes sense. And that's crazy because I don't know about you, but being a business owner was not a dream. That's not something that I have thought of as I've been going through life. And so it was just one of those moments where it just clicks and it settles and it feels like Kismet. And yeah, truly, that's why we named our company that, because it was such a moment of like, it's crazy to imagine doing anything else. And so we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna figure it out.
It's like all the cards fell where they needed to.
They just went out place.
It's funny because I remember Waffle Champion.
Oh, what?
That's like the first time we ever like got together and started talking. Was it Waffle Champion? So you remember that, and I remember Waffle Champion.
As you should.
I mean, really, truly.
I mean,
And they have gluten-free waffles now.
Yeah, they do.
shameless plug for Waffle Champion.
Yes. Not a sponsor.
Exactly. I can only hope. I would even take a non-financial sponsorship from them.
We'll just take some waffles.
That's it, the occasional walk-in for a waffle and a thing. So you two started OKC on stage?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So OKC on Stage originally started as a way to get 45 plus organizations in Oklahoma City that are all, whether that be choir, orchestra, theaters. It's basically anyone in the performing arts who wanted to put it under one roof on our website. I will say that project is somewhat on hold right now. But the first year that it was open, we had a big opening night party down at Camps 1910?
Yeah.
And it was great. I mean, it was so wonderful to have everyone in one location just being friends and being supportive of each other. And we would help host meetings occasionally throughout the year with the heads of programs so that we could all get together and talk and collaborate. It's really and truly, it was really impressive to see everyone get together because there's such a wide variety of people in the theater community here. And it's not often you can see them all in one space.
9 times out of 10, they're too busy.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own thing going on. And it's such a diverse community at so many different theaters. I was just having a conversation just the other night that, everybody kind of has their own lane, that they do. And when you're starting something new, it's like, okay, do I really want to do that? Because there's somebody already doing that. And so now we're at a point trying to find your niche is a little more difficult because there's so many theaters in Oklahoma City. It's pretty crazy and across the state. So
yeah, we've really found truly that though there are so many, it's still needed.
Oh, absolutely.
There's such a need for it.
Because there's 10 times more actors than there are theaters. So
True. Yes, there are.
So now did the OKC on stage, did that come before or after Kismet started?
It really came before. And after a certain period of time, we went, we're doing a lot here. Let's pare it down. Let's pare it down and focus on one thing right now.
Okay. So you think that was kind of one of the catalysts to help you launch?
I can show.
Okay.
I think so, yeah. I mean, it really was everything. We really sat down and had a meeting about OKC on stage, and that also turned into, hey, we also need this. And the two kind of paired together in their walk of being created. And after Kismet started to take off, we went, okay, we can't do this. Is too much for these two people for this to take a backseat for right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Understood. Mm-hmm. So your first semester with Kismet, you had 16 students.
Mm-hmm. We did ages 8 through 18. Yeah. We did it is David Dubbin and Tom Brewitt's production of Snowed In. We basically reached out to them and asked if they would rewrite a musical they had already created for our students and specialize it so that it got to feature all of those students. And they were wonderful. One is in LA and one is in New York. And so he did a lot of talking over the phone and Zoom calls and just checking in. And yeah, it was really cool. It was really fun to do like a new musical.
It was fun. And we sort of revisited that relationship with them during the pandemic. We weren't able to hold classes for several months or, or do productions as everyone did, but we collaborated with them to create Theater at Home, which was an online program for students, and it had the template of Mad Libs, but in a larger scheme of, okay, here's your template for a show, but each individual student filled in the blanks of what's my character's name, what's my character's motivation. Okay, now we've gotten to a conflict. Here's my character's conflict. And they helped us work with all these students to create and write their shows.
And then they had underlying music that they put with the show that they had scripted. And so everybody had the same music line, but they all had different stories to it, and they had to film it.
Yeah, and they ended up filming when they would created sets and costumes and props in their homes, and then we had a viewing party at the end of the semester or whatever, and we all watched everybody's shows, and it was so cool to see them. It's all the same music and it's all the same template, but everybody had a different script and characters, and so yeah, that relationship with David and Tom has been very cool to have.
Sounds like it. It's great, and it's great to have the ability to call upon something like that, a relationship like that. And I think we're starting to hear more of that. The writers and playwrights and producers are allowing themselves to be more involved with the production itself, or so and so over in this area is, doing the production. So I'm going to reach out, or they reach out, and I'm going to, just give them, my take on it, or, kind of things like that. I think it's really kind of neat. So, this 16 students from 8 to 18.
Yes.
Do you know kind of what that breakdown was? Do you remember?
They were more on the young side. That's for sure. In fact, I say 8 to 18, but really our oldest might have been 15 or 16. I mean, it was definitely more like upper elementary, middle school. And then after we got through that fall semester into the spring, we, just from our working with other shows with my students from the middle school, and I was still teaching at the middle school at that time, we had a bunch of interest, and we're able to branch out and do more classes. I still think we still just did Charlie Brown, but we had 4 casts then. And so we were able to do 2 middle school casts and 2 high school casts. Of course, do the same set and give everybody a couple shows. And from there, it just kind of kept growing.
So from that beginning, that as they always said, that humble beginning, how did you begin to shape the values or the goals for Kismet?
A big thing that we talked about then, and that we continue to talk about amongst ourselves and with our faculty now, is the way that we motivate students.
Yeah.
We are very big on positive motivation, which is not to say that we don't have high standards or high expectations, or that we want them to have technical excellence. But we are here to motivate them from a positive standpoint of, you can do this. This is what I expect of you.
Yeah, and to create an environment that feels safe and collaborative.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, we're all human.
We're all human.
Yeah.
And even though you could probably motivate a 7-year-old by snapping at them, you can also motivate a 7-year-old by encouraging them.
Right.
And we have seen over the past several years that our culture has become not only safe, but it has started to bleed out into the other students, where you see them turning around and encouraging one another and motivating each other positively. And it just happened. We're doing Sweeney Todd right now with our high school cast, and one of the Sweeneys, we have 3 casts of Sweeney.
January 11th.
Yeah, 6. One of the Sweeneys had been, he had been working for several minutes, and he kind of looked over at one of the other Sweeneys and said, "Hey, would you like to step in? It's been me for a long time. I'm happy to share, if you guys want to swap out." And it's little moments like that it's just in passing, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, or watching them celebrate
becomes a big deal.
Yeah, watching them celebrate each other outside of Kismet alone when they go to support each other. at their shows, at their schools, or just being friends outside of this building. It's really fun when there's a birthday party and everybody's a Kismet kid and you're watching and you're like, oh, this is awesome. This is wonderful.
And sort of on that, one of our big philosophies from the beginning was to try to go to as many student and school productions as we could physically fit in, to show our students that it's we don't just care about you coming to our classes and doing our shows, but we care about the things that you're doing in your school or your other theater academies or whatever. And anyone's welcome to join us. We're gonna go to this show on this weekend and this show the next day, and that has also grown in a really fun way where we'll be at a high school production of a musical and we'll look out and we'll see several of our students from our studio who are there supporting their friends. And we see that kind of everywhere we go. And that is something I feel really proud of and excited for.
Yeah. Okay. So bringing that forward to today, where you guys are at today, what does Kismet look like today? Obviously you guys, this is always for the students, this is outside of their curriculum at their school. So what is the training and stuff look like today?
You mean like classes?
Yeah.
So right now we have 3 production classes. Currently right now we're doing Peter Pan Jr., Beetlejuice Jr., and Swaggy Tog. And then we have dance classes, we have on-camera classes, stage combat. We bring in master classes. We try really hard to do master classes with the national tours that come through, and any guests that are in town. And then voice lessons, piano lessons, private dance instruction. It's, anything and everything that we can do to keep the students excited and hungry to keep learning in this business. Because we're not just training artists, we're training people. This is so good. These are skills that they will use outside of being just a performer.
Yes.
We also have a student mentorship program that's important to both of us, where we bring on older students to be, we call them mentors in the production classes for the younger grades. So we always have older students helping younger students, and in some ways it's just for encouragement and community, and in some ways it is to train those teenagers in the logistics, in the backstage, in the crew side, in the administrative, so that they are learning the things that we really didn't get to learn when we were in high school, because we were on stage. We didn't get to do backstage things. And we have seen that several of those kids from the mentorship program have gone on to do theater on the creative team side, that they've realized, I do love stage managing, or I do love composing, or I do love directing. And that wasn't really something I had predicted when we were just like, we need class assistants. But sort of getting to teach them in that way, not just the technical elements of being an actor, but also the technical elements of being on a creative team as a student, has been really cool to see.
And we also do that with our stage managers. We often have student stage managers who will assist in class. They're the best. Yeah, honestly.
So something that's always important to me and near and dear to my heart, what do you do as far as teaching them the technical side of things? Do you teach lighting? Do you teach sound? Do you teach all of that stuff?
So currently we don't teach lighting or sound unless a student is intrigued by it. Then we will bring them in to that process. Technical is mostly stage management and assistant directing and mentoring, or crew.
Yeah, we have we partner currently with Oakdale School, which is where we do a lot of our performances. And there's a student we met through some connections with Oakdale, who is a high school student who's very involved with the technical lighting and sound elements over there. And we started to hire him to work on our productions. And so my husband, Andrew, is our technical director, but he has done quite a bit of one-on-one work with this student to teach him more of the technical elements. we haven't had too many other students who've expressed interest in it. But we certainly would if they did.
Sure. It's one of the things we try to push as often as we can is that, theater, there's a place for everybody. And there's a lot of people that think, well, I'm not an actor. I can't do that up there. But they're like a demon with the pencil and pen. Okay, well, you teach them to design a set, teach them how to, and so many kids nowadays, just about all of them are so technically inclined when it comes to computers and things like that, that those lighting programs and the sound programs and all, so that they find that they click with that stuff so easy. And I think getting more and more of those kids involved with that. I ask a lot of people that when they have summer camps and things like that, do your summer camps offer a technical aspect? Because some of those kids wouldn't go to camp otherwise. So just it's always in my head.
Certainly something we've talked about for sure.
So this is your new facility. You've been here for a year, is that correct? So what has this space allowed you to do that it wasn't possible to do before?
Well, it's lovely to be able to have a space where we can set the schedule and not have to worry about anyone else. So it's been huge to be able to create our own calendar, have more classes, bring in more opportunities and more options. It's pretty life-changing. We didn't realize it would be that amazing. and just a lot of expanded partnership opportunities. Even, yes, with the teachers that we contract to teach our classes, but we also on Mondays, we host several kinder music classes. And so that's been really cool to get to know the owner of Kinder Music here, Alyssa Burnett. And like Angela said, getting to bring in guest artists, that's not something we had the luxury of before, because we only had our theater, for a set amount of hours. And now, you're at a Friday night, let's go. So we have the space. That's also nice because we've got so many students who are interested in going into this for their college career that they all have these pre-screens they have to do. And now we have the ability for our students to come in and record their pre-screens and to have a space that is theirs to be able to rehearse and practice, and that we never had before. So that allows more collaboration with the students, more prep, and that it's been lovely to watch. And they just ask, that's it. I need a couple hours here and there. And we are able to make that happen for them now, which we couldn't in the past.
That's really cool. So we kind of touched on this just a little bit ago. You're now teaching over 200 students across 19 classes. So how do you balance the variety with quality in your programming?
We have a pretty extensive interview process. As you know, the theater community is small in a lot of ways. And so there are a lot of mutual acquaintances. And I think I have certainly in the past been hired for programs just based on someone's recommendation, which I appreciated. But rarely before being in this position I don't know that I was ever interviewed for any of the teaching jobs that I did previous to here. And so when we opened the company here, Kismet, we decided it was important for us to, go off of recommendations from community members, but also really vet people. And so by the time we hire someone, we've had several and extensive conversations with them. So we know, okay, you're about to be in charge of this whole sect of the dance program or whatever. But I trust that. And I know that I can delegate these things to you because we've had so many conversations. We've talked about teaching philosophies and the way that we motivate students and the way that we deal with conflict. And we've gone back and forth about expectations for one another. And so I feel comfortable and safe to then delegate. And I think that's the only way it works, because you can't, it's huge. Yeah, you can't manage that many classes and students, just the two of us. We tried for a while, but it was burnout. It was wild, and you're trying to do it all on your own. Too much, especially this is my full-time job. But Angela also has another full-time gig that she does her day job. And so, even just that element, we're trying to juggle our whole company and her work schedule. And so you have to start delegating really fast.
Absolutely. So your classes, we've talked a little bit about this, range from stage combat to on-camera acting and audition technique and piano. And so how do you decide what to offer and how do you keep it fresh?
Honestly, a lot of that is dictated by the students. They're pretty good about telling us what they need, or we're watching. Audition technique sort of stemmed from watching auditions and knowing, hey, it would be really good for us to do an audition technique class for these students to get them prepped for auditions before they come in to help. But really, they're the ones who request and ask and drive our class schedule often.
Sometimes also we will go see a show somewhere. We'll be really impressed with some element of the show and go, what if they would work for us and do the same thing? That happened recently at OCU. We went and saw a production and the stage combat was amazing. And we said, oh, hey, Chris Cuss, you're amazing at this. Would you ever consider doing like a master class? It's like, that would be so cool. And it just sort of built that way where we brought him in for like a single rehearsal and we loved him so much. And he did such a great job that we said, let's do a whole semester together. And so sometimes it's just seeing people's work on stage and going, I think you've got something you could share with our community. Let's talk.
Just interviewed Chris, by the way. So
that's great. He's wonderful.
Yeah. Chris is part of a production that's going on at the Theater Crude. And so I interviewed that entire cast. That was the 6-person cast that I was talking about. So yeah, we did talk about you briefly. So yeah, recent shows that you guys have done include Les Mis, Alice by Heart, one of my favorites, Big Fish, another one, SpongeBob Musical, Dare to Dream. So what is your process in selecting the shows that you're going to do?
Sometimes it comes down to something we feel passionate about. I think Alice by Heart, you started listening to that and went, I need to do this show. And also the students wanted that show.
Mm-hmm. And that was, I really need to stop saying this because I have this tendency that students will come and say, we really want to do Alice by Heart. I'll say, guys, we're never doing Alice by Heart. That's just that we can't. It's too small of a cast.
Pretty sure we did that with SpongeBob.
Whatever. And then they kept bringing it up and I started listening to it and went, oh my gosh, I can't imagine doing anything besides Alice by Heart. We're going to figure out how to do it.
And that's how I felt about SpongeBob. I started listening to it and I said, wait, this is a bop. I can't stop singing it. Yeah. Let's do it.
So yeah, sometimes it's things we're passionate about. Sometimes it's all the students have organized themselves and they come together as a united front and say, we have all talked. Yeah.
And we would like to do it.
We decided.
How do you argue with that?
We'd like to do Sweeney Todd. And go, okay.
It's like they're bringing an idea unified. They're either going to A, present a show, or you're about to be lynched. So, and could be both, depending upon how you answer. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, Alice was the same for me. I had heard so many people talking about it and so many people talk about it. I had never seen it. And then my wife and I went up to Oklahoma State University and saw them do it just here recently.
That was a phenomenal production.
So talk about, I mean, everybody's got, their top 10 musicals. And I told a lot of you, I said, that one hit my top 10 like a rocket. I mean, it just.
Yeah, that was actually something fun for us, as Jason Estala did our costumes for Alice by Heart, who also did the costumes for OSU. And it was nice because we were able to collaborate. And so he used a lot of stuff that we had in his production.
Nice.
So it's good. I like partnering with other organizations.
Absolutely.
They're funny,
Well, and again, goes back to the whole community aspect. One of the directors that I've been working with for a while, he said, I wish more theaters understood the community aspect. If you've got a theater that's sitting over here and they've got this prop or this set or these pieces or whatever, and they're not currently using them, why not let someone borrow them? Or worst case scenario, rent it to them, rather than you holding on to the control of it and making them build from scratch when they don't have to. So
that is something that has really grown us in relationships with other theater companies over the past few years, is people's willingness to just share and borrow and go, okay, you guys are doing, we're doing Shrek, you guys are doing this one, you have that, let's just swap. We don't need to, and there is, of course, sometimes there's rentals, and that's fine, but it has been a lot of borrowing and sharing.
Oh yeah, the barter system is amazing.
It's amazing. It's wonderful. And that just immediately makes you feel a kinship to that group to go, we really are all working towards the same thing. And we all need the grease lightning car at some point. And so let's just kind of drag it all around the state, and no one has to build it.
No, I don't ever want to have that conversation with you. I'll tell you that when we go off the air. It's a horrible story, but yeah, I the community aspect and just working together, going to a production and opening that program and seeing another theater's name in that program. One, it tells me, it's not just all about me. They're open to working with somebody else. Maybe I should too.
Yes.
So,
community begets community.
absolutely. So you also offer adult productions in the summer.
We do.
You do one in the summer. Is that
Right
correct?
now we do one. It started in 2016. We did one. Is it 2016 or 2018?
2018.
2018. Did a couple. We did Hunchback of Notre Dame, and we did Oliver. And in this past summer, we did the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, which was hilarious.
That one was fun.
It was good. Yeah.
So what's been the response adding the adult aspect to your already busy schedule?
Personally, I love it because it's nice to work with adults every once in a while. Nice to have that community back. But honestly, it's not as stressful as I thought it would be. It's a nice break. It's a nice, refreshing break.
Well, and we in a lot of ways, because we are extracurricular, the students who are here, they're here because they want to be here. So they have good attitudes and good work ethic. But there is something even more special, as we were talking about, when you have made time after your busy work day to go and do theater somewhere where you just show up and are so excited to learn and work and rehearse and be together. And it without getting too precious, it really feels very pure. That's just sort of how I felt throughout the whole spelling bee process of everybody just has the purest of intentions and
love each other.
we love each other, and we're here to be silly and sing this difficult music and play together and share it with the audience. And it really wasn't about ego, because it's just about community.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of, when are we doing this again? What's the next show? When's the next show?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think now it's okay, we've seen the interest. We've seen that people will show up in the audience. So now we can start booking more frequently.
Sure. So shifting a little bit, we kind of talked a little bit about this a while ago, and I like this, but you talked about growing people, not just growing artists.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your approach to helping students grow both artistically and personally?
Well, primary focus would be communication. No student is the same. And so knowing each student individually, where they are in their life, what they're doing, how school is going. Being present with them more than just, hey, here's your X, go there. Here's your costume, go put it on. For us, it's not just enjoying theater with them. It's about enjoying who they are. And honestly, that's what makes this worthwhile, because we're getting to meet so many incredible students.
It's also the focus that we aren't just creating future actors. We're creating future patrons of the arts. Mm-hmm. And that's what the majority of our students will become. There will be a percentage that perhaps go and study some form of music or theater in college, and then maybe a smaller percentage that ends up working in those fields. But ultimately, we're creating future patrons who are going to hopefully love musical theater or just music for the rest of their lives. And when you have that focus, it softens you a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't automatically lower any standards of excellence, but it just shifts the way that you deal with conflict or struggle, or a kid missing a rehearsal for another rehearsal. or sort of the infinite things that can happen when you're working with children, because we have kind of a bigger picture that, of course, we want to put on a great show, but ultimately we want these kids to have a good time. I remind them all the time, why are we here? For fun. We're here for fun because this is fun, and not because it's serious business or because it's college prep.
Right.
It's so fun. And if you're not having fun, then I'm not doing my job. And I think it's made us all a bit healthier and a bit kinder.
And creating that environment also allows for them to become more confident individuals. They feel safe. They feel able to play and explore. And that confidence doesn't just train the next artist, it trains the next lawyer, the next doctor. It's so key to being a human.
Right. And that's kind of where I was going to go with that, is that, studies have shown that children that are learning in the arts their studies have shown that their testing scores for critical thinking, for, like you said, conflict management,
Problem solving.
all of that kind of stuff is so much higher than the kids that don't. And so I think that's a plus too. But I want to dive into what you were just talking about fostering creativity while maintaining that safe, expressive space. How do you go about doing that?
Well, we have what the kids kind of refer to jokingly as the KKC, which is the Kismet Kindness Contract. It's not called that. It's called like Expectations and Policies and Procedures, or I don't know, something like official like that. But it essentially is very, very thorough, lines out our expectations for their behavior, for the way that they communicate with us and one another. We talk a lot about consent here, a lot in the way that they deal with their phones, with not allowing them to film each other in a rehearsal. If they film, it's with permission, on the student's own device. Like we get pretty in the weeds and specific about the behavioral expectations we have for them, and keep on them pretty hard. That is, if there's anything strict about our program, it is the behavioral expectations. And when we see a conflict happening either with the teacher or between two students, we deal with it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just say, oh, maybe they'll work it out. We're immediately pulling them in and go, hey, we've seen this. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it as a group. Let's talk about it, the four of us, whatever. Because that we need that direct conflict resolution and showing them we know how to resolve conflict in a healthy way. And so we're going to walk you through how to do that because we value you. We value the way that you impress yourselves upon our program. And we want you to have these skills moving forward so that, it's not just giving the stink eye to someone about the role over you. And so you ice them out all semester. We're going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have to deal with that a lot? The whole conflict between teachers and students, or between other students?
No, I mean, it's occasional. Well, I would say maybe twice this year, and that's it. We really don't. And I think that's because we've set that precedence. That's the rule, and they know it. And when one student, jokes about it, that means the next student's going to learn about it. So it's kind of funny at this point to listen and be like, Kismet Kindness Contract. Did you hear that? Don't do that again. So like it's appreciated because it's out of respect when they do it. It's not a joking manner.
We had a situation several years ago, and now I can't even remember what the show was, but it was a large conflict amongst several kids in the cast. And we had a cast meeting, sort of addressing the issue head on, and ended up having a lot of one-on-one meetings. And we worked out the conflict. It had something to do with phones, I think. And the kid, this had to have been 3 or 4 years ago. The kids still talk about it sometimes. But like, hey, you remember when that crazy thing happened in the show with all? Yeah, and we don't get to do that. We don't get to be that way anymore. Yeah, I remember. Like every once in a while they'll talk about it. And so I think Angela's right that because we've been so careful about it as we've gone or haven't, and then learned that we needed to be, it's kind of like baked in to the culture now, I think. And so we try to really nip that out so that it doesn't fester.
Do the kids really understand why that's necessary?
I think so. I think they go to school every day and realize what bullying looks like and see their experience at school, and they're exhausted and they're tired of it. And So when they get to come here and they don't feel that and they're not surrounded by that and it's not welcomed here, it's night and day for them.
It's part of a part of the speech that I give the kids on the first day of any show, which is it's gonna be it's gonna be hard to hurt my feelings. I would so much rather you be honest with me
Absolutely.
and tell me, because I'm still gonna love you. I'm a safe person to be honest to you, and we're gonna learn. Part of what we're gonna learn in this process is, yes, how to do the show, but it's also how to be good human beings to one another.
And I think to add to that, good listeners. Because communication isn't just talking, it's listening.
Very much so, yeah.
And as an educator, it's very important to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not, I have a schedule. I like to be organized. I know what I'm going to get through in a rehearsal, but I'm not afraid to take 5 or 10 minutes to go like, hey, there's a thing that's happening and we need to talk about it before we go on, because everyone's aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we might as well acknowledge it.
Yeah, I mean, transparency really is so key. And when the students feel that from us, they also feel safe to get that back.
Absolutely. That's what I was thinking. If they see it modeled in you, they're going to be, much like you said, modeling it to the next student down the road.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So your Summertime Storytellers Camp mounts full productions in just 30 to 40 hours.
Yes, we're crazy.
How do you make that work?
It's honestly really fun because the students, instead of being drawn out through an entire semester, are basically thrown into the process like a summer stock production. So like what we did with Les Miserables at Weird Theater, we just have to learn it very quickly and perform it. And the students thrive off of it. They paint it really well. I mean, you'd be surprised what 4-year-olds can learn in 30 hours. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's no time to forget anything.
Yeah.
Because we just did it yesterday and we did it for 5 hours in a row or whatever. So, yeah, I think we really are, trying to get them prepped for if they ever do summer stock, if they, are ever in a summer regional production or whatever, this is what it's going to be like. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit logistical, like we don't have the time or resources to give you more time. So we're going to do it in 2 weeks and it's going to be what it is.
It's fun. We really enjoy our summers.
Yeah, they're really my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Before I moved into Oklahoma City and started performing up here, I was out in Shawnee where, they do 6-7 weeks of rehearsal for every show. And then I get up here and I'm doing like 3 weeks before a run. And then I hear of other theaters that do a 4 or 5, 6 week. And I'm like, what do you do with your time?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like,
right. It forces you to focus
exactly.
when you don't have as much time.
Exactly.
Stakes are very high.
Yeah. Okay, so now moving into looking ahead. Okay, you are actively fundraising to support the new space and expand your programming. So what are your goals for the next phase?
Honestly, to continue growing classes, more enrollment, more offerings, honestly, more adult theater.
Yeah, we'd love to have a whole season of adult community theater.
Are you looking for more space?
Probably. I mean, that's definitely something that would help create that opportunity. But we've got such a great partnership with Oakdale. I'm pretty lucky.
That was kind of my next question. Are you looking at your own theater?
Maybe someday.
Okay.
We have, we'll have to show you this after we're done recording. We have a sort of a small black box space in our facility at the back.
See, I'm privileged.
And so we have hosted some very cabaret style, some voice recitals. We've had some fundraisers in that space. We're still kind of working out the kinks because we only have 2 bathrooms. And so, there's some of that's like, okay, we got to figure it out off of logistics, but we do have that black box space. And so one of our active conversations is how can we equip that space to host some small black box shows? And, because it's definitely big enough to seat, 50 to 75 people, which is not a huge amount, but like it's enough for a weekend or 2. So
I've been performing for the last year for 90.
Yeah.
So, 75 people, that's actually comfortable.
Yeah, it's a decent audience.
And it's still intimate, I'm getting to where I don't know, maybe as I'm getting older or because I've got a long ways in theater, but I'd get to where I prefer that smaller, more intimate. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm now in rehearsals for a much, 200 some odd, seat deal. And so I'm like, I'm really kind of excited about that, but so
Yeah, it's fun on all sizes for sure.
yeah, just to do it. That doesn't really matter. So what kind of guest master classes or new disciplines are you hoping to bring about in the future?
Well, like I just said, we try to make connections with either the agents of or the actors themselves who are kind of here on the national tours. Last year we had several who came in, be it the principal roles or ensemble roles, to come in and work with our students either on singing or acting, and sort of encourage them and talk to them about what it's like to be, in the profession.
Yeah, and we got a talent agent masterclass before. Obviously, casting masterclasses is always really interesting to hear. I mean,
what we're really trying right now is to build our dance program. We've existed for a long time focusing on acting and singing with movement, and have certainly done shows with dancing, but we've not had the ability to really host dance classes because we've not had our own space.
And now we do.
And now we have our own dance studio, which is so exciting. And so right now we're in the process of selling dance to our current students who are unsure how they feel about it.
Yeah, and we're really motivating them to understand why it is an important medium.
Yeah. So, because, when you get to be 17 or 18 years old and you've not taken a dance class, it can feel really intimidating to start. But to kind of prove our point, we're also hosting adult community dance classes too, to say, hey, you can also start as an adult. And they're even older than you and they're willing to try something new. So you can too. And again, we want to teach great technical skill, but it's also for fun.
It's kind of fun to see our adult classes. We actually have an adult tap, an adult hip hop, and yoga class for adults, and they were the fastest to grow. It was pretty surprising.
It's a really fun way to exercise.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, what legacy do you hope to develop and leave behind with Kismet?
I keep coming back to community. I don't know. Like, is there supposed to be a mantra here or something I'm supposed to say? But really and truly, I just want to have...
Could be your mantra.
My mantra is community. A place where people feel welcomed and excited to come and hang out and spend time doing whatever they love. I just feel like that's really the reason we do this. So for me, I just want to have a community that spreads love and joy and positivity.
Mine is really the kids joking about having the Kismet kindness contract, and that being the default. It not being like, oh, it's so amazing that they have that contract at Kismet, but that everywhere that is the baseline that we're operating from. And that's not, I'm certainly not trying to say no one else is kind. Of course not. There's so much kindness in this community. But it's such an active part of our philosophy and something we return to so much that I want everyone to take that out and multiply it. And so we know that theater in Oklahoma City, theater in Tulsa, theater all over Oklahoma isn't toxic and it isn't competitive. It's kind and supportive. And we know that we're all pursuing the same thing.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much all of the questions that I have. However, you both listened to this podcast before. We like to wrap up with some curveballs. So what we've got today, we have what we call our lightning round. These are fastball questions. You just answer whatever's on the top of your head.
Okay.
Okay?
Panic.
Most people do. You won't be alone. All right. First thing, off the top of your head, favorite playwright or composer?
Jason Robert Brown.
Oh my gosh, what's his name that composed Alice My Heart? Oh my gosh, where's Greg? You guys. No, Steven Sater, is that right? That sounds right. Him.
That guy. Okay. Musical or straight play?
Musical.
Just about blew out my headphones just so.
Oh, it is.
Okay. If Kismet were a musical, what would its opening number be called?
Welcome to Kismet. So cheesy.
That was cheesy. Yeah.
Kidman, where it's meant to be.
Yes, probably something very corny. Like
Very, something corny and cheesy. Okay. Each one of you, describe Kismet in 3 words.
a kind community. Chaotic.
He said each one of you. So now you have 1, she has 2. Still got 1 more.
What do I say? Kind community. Loving.
Okay.
Mine are cheesy.
You went with chaotic, so you went the other end spectrum.
Yeah. Yes, I'd say chaotic and exciting and
Mine are so warm and muzzy.
and oh man, there's a word that's right on the tip of my tongue. Dynamic.
That's good.
My God.
If you could invite a theater legend to teach a master class at Kismet, who would it be and what would they teach?
Audrey McDonald.
Kelly O'Haron. What would they teach?
Yep.
Acting.
Song. Stage. Yeah, I would be very gonna say stage presence, acting in song. Yeah. Oh man, what a dream.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so how can people, if young people or their parents or even adults, if they want to get involved with Kismet, how do they go about doing that?
Just email us. Kismet Arts Studio @gmail.com.
We also have a very active presence on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Our handle is Kismet Arts OKC. And our website is the same, kismetartsokc.com. We keep that pretty updated. So we try to make it really easy to get a hold of us if people have questions or want to know what we've got going on.
Yep.
Okay, so what do you have going on right now?
We have Beetlejuice Jr. coming up November 21st through 23rd. Then Sweeney Todd, which is January 9th through 11th. And then after that will be Peter Pan Jr., but that's not till the end of May.
So yeah, we've got mainly our production classes that are working on their shows right now. And we have not yet announced our spring season. So that will be something to look forward to.
Okay. So if people want to get tickets to come see the show, how do they do that?
That would be on our website at kismetartsokc.com/tickets.
There you go. Ladies, thank you very much. Appreciate you for being a part of this. As always, it's a joy to experience all of this together. And very, very much thank you for what you are doing here. Several of the things that we talked about here today, kids, there's enough negativity, enough division, enough all of that in the world to have a place where kids can come and be safe and everyone be included. That's amazing. Thank you for doing that, and please keep doing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Everybody else listening at home, thank you for taking time to be a part of this. Thank you for listening to this podcast and for supporting those around you. And please, no matter what you do, please continue to support the arts.
Oklahoma on stage, the spotlight.